and listen to me, will you? Just listen.
Listen to what?
Say what you will about John Woo's high-octane and slow-motion fueled sequel to Brian De Palma's classic film Mission Impossible, because I assure you, we've heard it all.
Oh, this movie's too tonally different from the first one.
It's got way too much slow-motion action. What the f*** is Limp Bizkit doing here? But in spite of all of that, here I am ready to make a case that this movie has some redeeming qualities that make its shortcomings forgivable. While you may think this is nothing but an early 2000s pop soundtrack with sweeping landscapes and extreme slow motion and gunplay every few minutes, I mean, yeah, what do you want, man? It's an action movie. Lighten up. Folks, today we are going to be taking a look at Mission Impossible 2, and specifically the ending scene, and more specifically, the final showdown.
Run that bastard down.
This scene is still one of the most visceral, action-packed, and suspense-filled sequences in this franchise. It has all the things. Motorcycle chase? Check. Guns blasting? Check. Explosions, combat, and banter? Check. Oh, and how about a metal rendition of the original Mission Impossible theme? Big check. But what if I told you that there's also symbolism? No, I'm kidding. Let's just talk about why this final fight scene in Mission Impossible 2 kicks so much ass and redeems the movie's shortcomings, at least for us. In order to really explain the biblical levels of chaos and mayhem caused in this one scene, I'd have to compare it to something like a parody. Hear me out.
No.
While it isn't poking fun at the trope of mass destruction being seen in action movies of its time, in fact, it takes itself incredibly seriously, the dialed-up level of cinematic chaos is similar to that of a parody, which would do the exact same thing simply to call attention to how gratuitous it all is. This scene knows that it's over the top, and it fucking loves it. For action lovers, the majority of this sequence is ripping high-speed chases on very fast motorcycles, drive-and-shoot gunplay, and just an absurd amount of vehicular explosions. But what I love about it is that most of the conflict in this scene is done in motion. The villain of this particular installment, Sean Ambrose, played by Mr. Doug Ray Scott, chases Ethan from one side of town to the other while the two shoot it out and perform some of the most insane stunts ever done on a motorcycle. The scene is kinetic and constantly whipping you forward at 100 miles an hour, both building anticipation for the outcome and giving you ample time to settle in for the ride.
The ball's in your court, Mr. McCloy.
Of course, making this movie was not without its concerns.
It's fun.
The studio had multiple issues and back-and-forth negotiations with Woo and his team in order to ease their many safety concerns for their star, and also deliver on practical stunt work and thrilling action. This includes the infamous story behind this shot. What if I told you that in the interest of realism, Tom Cruise, who was also one of the big producers on this movie, insisted that the production use a real knife? That's right, this cold, sharp blade that you see nearly plummeting into Tom Cruise's real face, that's a real knife.
It's fun.
According to the filmmakers, the knife was attached to a wire being controlled off camera. The wire was cut to be exactly 1/4 of an inch from where Tom Cruise's mark would be for the scene, meaning that it had just enough space to be fully extended without piercing the actor in the eye. Of course, that's assuming that nobody was even 1/4 inch off their mark.
I mean, so if he sit up or move or twitch or
the cable were to slip, or, you know, there's a lot of maybes that makes it an interesting shot to watch.
Now, the thing to keep in mind is, this was the movie in this series that really kicked off the franchise as we know it today. While the superior original film is what laid the groundwork for the character of Ethan and the agency he works for and against, this is the movie that turned up the stakes and sent the action into overdrive, something we've come to expect. And let's be real, seeing all these stunts, explosions, gunfights, and beach brawls are all done practically makes this scene even more of a high-octane marvel to witness.
Get out there and keep firing! I can't see anything!
The scene was shot on location in Sydney and took advantage of its actual streets and beaches to have these brutal badasseries go down. If this were made today, more than half of what we see in this scene would have been shot on green screen, added in post, or digitally created altogether. Not that I'm saying I don't understand why movies are made like that today, but can you honestly watch the glorious action in this movie and tell me it doesn't make you nostalgic for blockbusters of old?
You should have killed me.
Let's do a quick body count for how many expendable cast members meet their vicious demise in this 10-minute scene. Here we go.
It's funny.
So that's more than one death every minute. I said, that's more than one death every minute.
It's a lot better than the way that bitch is gonna die.
Now, we've talked about the many violent things going down during the chase in this scene, but what about the combat when the chase ends? The entire chase culminates in a hand-to-hand brawl between Sean and Ethan. The choreography for this scene is pretty top-notch considering that the actors were standing in real sand when executing these moves. Just before it all goes down, there's actually a moment of, say it with me folks, symbolism.
I'm sure the word you were looking for was symbolism. What is the symbolism there?
When the two finally come face to face on their motorcycles, they enter what can only be described as a crotch rocket standoff. Like a duel in Western movies, but with a game of chicken. Before they charge at each other, the engines of their respective vehicles rumble and growl while the guys look deep into each other's eyes with pure rage. It almost looks and sounds like two wolves about to fight to the death, because ultimately, it is. The two speed at each other at 80 miles an hour, and when neither of them deviate from the collision course, they jump off their bikes and hug in the air, like that scene in Lost Boys. Then they fall 20 feet off of a cliff into what I guess is the softest sand of all time. And outside of everything I've told you so far, add in that we get multiple moments in this scene that can now be classified as staples in the Mission Impossible series. This includes Ving Rhames making multiple well-timed quips.
Oh, I'm mad now.
Ethan screaming demands at his crew from an earpiece.
Bring her to me!
Ethan taking an unimaginable amount of damage to his body and completely ignoring it. And of course, the swell of that sweet, sweet theme song with a new rendition. For my part, this is one of the weakest entries in the Mission Impossible franchise. However, to dismiss it for its shortcomings would be leaving out its many successes. This scene is fan service and admittedly creator service at the same time. It's indulgent, high octane, burnt to a crisp 2000s action. And for that, it is still one of the baddest ass scenes in Mission Impossible history. What do you guys think? Did I make a case for why this movie is more redeemable than you maybe originally thought? Are you gonna revisit this movie? I kinda want to, again. Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, please make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. JoBlo was created by movie fans for movie fans, and we appreciate your support.